Welcome back to Coast Sports, the only show for the fans, by the fans. I'm Michael Fiumefreddo, and it's been a great ride so far. This NFL season's got one more game left to play. And I just wanted to say thank you for watching the podcast, keeping up track. We've hit about 30 episodes now. This whole thing started in week 1 of the NFL season, and the season's just flown by. If you haven't already followed it, I announced it last Friday. We did set up an Instagram account. You can see it on the back behind me there. It's at C2C Sports MF. If you haven't followed it already, we started to get some guys following it. A lot of guys that are friends of the show, have been on the show before, and post about every day. We got some great content coming your way. But it was the NFL the conference championships this past weekend, and the two games were pretty interesting, so to say. I mentioned last week they were both rematches of games in the regular season. And we got Tom Brady headed to his 10th straight Super Bowl after defeating Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers for the second time this season. They won that game 31-26. And then on the other side, the Chiefs actually won again against the Buffalo Bills. They won 38-24 behind the arm of Patrick Mahomes. Now I wanted to start off with this Packers game because I did pick them to win at the start of the playoffs. I had them at the top of my power rankings all year, whereas the Bucs were fluctuating between a contender and on the fringe, the bubble line. And I just think the Packers blew it. Not the best play calling it towards the end of the game. They were down 28-10 at one point. There was a big momentum shift at halftime. And a lot of mistakes going on, but this wasn't Brady's best performance by all means. He threw 3 picks in the second half and kind of let them back in the game. But they were down 8. The score was 31-23 with 4 minutes to go. Aaron Rodgers gets the ball, and we've seen him do it before. He's done it multiple times in his career, but gets down the field before even the 2-minute warning. Gets it to a 3rd and goal from about the 8-yard line, and then this play happens. So if you see on the screen, you got Aaron Rodgers about 5 yards back from the line of scrimmage. Jason Pierre-Paul is the Buccaneers defender right at the 10-yard line. Has a little bit of an angle, but you got Davante Adams with 2 defenders draped on him. He's standing about the 1-yard line. Now, it looks like anything thrown in Davante Adams' way is going to get either batted down, picked off. Maybe he catches it, but he's still short of the end zone. It's going to be a 4th and goal from about the 1. But the red arrow kind of shows that Aaron Rodgers has a pretty wide open lane to the end zone. You could make the argument that Jason Pierre-Paul could have made the tackle there, but Aaron Rodgers has some wheels on him. We've seen him do it before in the past. There's a post from Barstool Sports, by the way. They're the ones that drew the red arrow. Maybe even you see one of the cornerbacks on Davante Adams. They shift over and make a stop, but either way, you're looking at a 5, maybe 6 or 7 yard gain, 4th and goal from about the 3 or even closer in. Aaron Rodgers ended up throwing that ball to Davante Adams, and like I said, it was batted down. So now you got 4th and goal. You're still down 8. You need a touchdown and the 2-point conversion, obviously, to win, to tie the game up. But they tried out Mason Crosby and drills the field goal. But now you put the faith in your defense, down 5 with 2 minutes to go, the 2-minute warning, and 3 timeouts to go. The Packers defense, which hasn't been the greatest all year. They got some great guys on there. Jair Alexander did have 2 interceptions last night. But penalty after penalty just kept giving the Buccaneers first downs. They got to third down a few times, 3rd and long even, and a bunch of penalties again. So they did blow it, and that's more on the coaching rather than Aaron Rodgers, who had a pretty solid game himself. But I want to talk about the winners now, and Tom Brady, who after last season's whole mishap in New England, a lot of people thought he was done for. It was past his prime. He should just retire. He goes over to Tampa, and you should if you're about to retire. You go somewhere sunny, you know. My dad's thinking about doing that himself, but he posts this TikTok after winning the NFC Championship for the first time in his career. He's 1-for-1. But I'm not going to show you the whole thing. I'll probably cut out the audio as well because of copyright issues with YouTube. But here, check this out. So you see him, Tom Brady, and his buddy Rob Gronkowski, who also came over from New England after retiring for a year. They have now won yet another conference championship, and they're about to play in another Super Bowl. Like I said, it was Brady's 10th now. But was this a shot at the Patriots and Bill Belichick, who lost faith in his guy that's got him so far? Or was this just a shot at the haters? Now, like I said, he threw 3 interceptions. It wasn't his best performance late in the game. But one of the two drives really stood out to me. And it really showed me that at 43 years old, Tom Brady still has it. It's 14-10, about a couple minutes left to go in the half. Tom Brady's punts, but right away, midfield, the Buccaneers defense made a huge interception. And I moved the ball a little bit, picked up a 4th down and 3. Tom Brady throws an absolute dime to Scotty Miller, 39 yards down the field, touchdown with 1 second left in the half. Now, you think there's no possible way you could follow that up. You just scored a touchdown right before the half. The other team's getting the ball back. Aaron Jones fumbles on a great hit. The defense scoops it up, brings it to the 8-yard line, and right away, Tom Brady scores again. So over the course of about a minute and a half, just under 2 minutes of real time in the game, Tom Brady went from a 4-point lead to an 18-point lead. And the rest was history. I thought at that point the game was over. There was no way Green Bay could come back. They started making a push, and like we talked about before, they ended up blowing it at the end of the game. But Tom Brady is now the undisputed GOAT. I thought it was 2 years back when he won a Super Bowl against the Rams, although he didn't have a great game. But let's look at this guy's accolades, because you go to the Jordan-LeBron argument. Yeah, LeBron's good, but Jordan's got so many more accolades. He's got all the championships, the MVPs, the scoring. Tom Brady now is going to his 10th Super Bowl, which was already the most all-time. The guy in second place was the kicker that stayed in New England with him, Stephen Gostkowski, who's been to 6. He's won 6 of those, which is the most of all time. He has 3 MVP awards, which is second most all-time, tied with a bunch of guys and behind Peyton Manning. He has 14 Pro Bowl selections. If he plays one more season, which if he doesn't win, he might, he's going to finish with the most passing yards all time. And that's not to mention that he also has the most passing touchdowns of all time. So Tom Brady has 5 unbelievable accolades on his resume. He's thrown for 50 touchdowns, which is a career year for most quarterbacks, only done a few times in history. But how can you not think that this guy is the GOAT? And we were having this argument earlier today. Some of my buddies back home, they were texting me and actually woke me up. But I just don't see how you can call someone who's got all of those accolades, all of those championships, all of the numbers. And they're like, oh, he's getting carried by his defense. Does the defense score 581 career passing touchdowns? That's what you got to think about. None of the, oh yeah, he just won his championship because the team around him, the coach. He's done it with 2 teams. Like I mentioned before, none of these guys on the team even made it to the playoffs before Brady got there. And yeah, what else are you going to say about the guy? I'm a Jets fan, and this is the guy that's beat up on us for 20 years. My entire lifetime he's been in this league and has done nothing but impress. How can you not say he's the GOAT? Now, will he be the GOAT for long? We'll have to wait and see, because the guy he's facing in his 10th Super Bowl appearance is Patrick Mahomes. And I think he's the only guy that has a shot to challenge Brady for the greatest of all time. And I know that's kind of hard to tell because he's been in the league for 2 seasons, only really played 1. He's also only 25 years old, whereas Brady's 43. But when you look at his accolades, at 25 years old, Mahomes already has an MVP. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's thrown 114 career touchdown passes. So that's about a sixth of what Brady's done in just 2 years. And I don't know what else you can say about him. He also did not miss a beat yesterday. I talked about last week how he's coming off a concussion. He hadn't practiced all week. I think it'll be a little bit of a mess out there for the Chiefs. But he was no shortage of any lost time. He picked up right where he left off in the first half of the last game. And just to put it into perspective, 325 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Josh Allen didn't play a bad game whatsoever, but he was by far the better quarterback, and it wasn't even close. And when you think about it, let's think. You got Patrick Mahomes, probably the number 1 quarterback this season in the league, maybe number 2 behind Rodgers. So the 1 or 2 best quarterback. Russell Wilson's also a guy you could say is up there. Maybe you throw in Breeze or Brady, I don't know. But Josh Allen has been a top 5, maybe 6, 7 quarterback this season. And if that's the gap between the 25-year-old first or second best quarterback in the league and the 23, 24-year-old 6th or 7th best quarterback in the league, maybe even 4 or 5, if that's the gap, what does that say about how talented Patrick Mahomes is? The man is phenomenal. And even after a week of no practice, he still looks like an MVP. So I think the Bucs defense in 2 weeks will give him a little bit of a run for his money. They've shown the better quarterback they've played in the playoffs so far. They've played even better. They weren't the greatest against Taylor Heineke. It was a tune-up game for them against the football team. You had the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees' last game ended up throwing a bunch of interceptions, a lot of turnovers. And then last week, they came up with 2 clutch turnovers in the end of the first half, start of the second half to really turn the game around. But how will this all turn out? We're just going to have to wait and see. The game's on in 2 weeks from now. But that's going to do it for me today. A little bit of a quicker episode. We're going to start to move over to the NBA world a little bit. Maybe I'll bring a guest on Friday's show to really talk about the NBA, what's going on over there. We're about a couple months into the season now. And we got a little bit of a break from NFL action. We might have to touch on some of the news here and there, but that's going to do it for me here at Coast to Coast Sports. Remember to like and follow on YouTube, follow on Instagram, check out our Spotify as well. Once again, signing off, I'm Michael Fiumefreddo, and you're watching Coast to Coast Sports, the only show for the fans, by the fans. See you Friday.